Talks with me today. Stacy is the CEO of Persevere, and Matthew is the CTO of both Persevere and its social enterprise, Banyan Labs. How are you guys doing this morning?
Great, thanks.
Great.
Awesome, awesome. Now, Matthew and I are in the same time zone. We're Central Standard. Stacy, are you Eastern?
Nope, I'm Central.
You're still Central.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
awesome,
live in
awesome.
that little section of Florida that's polar opposite of everybody else.
Awesome. Well, I am super excited for our debut for our coffee talks. This is something we've been talking about for about a month and a half, and it's just an opportunity for you two as executives to get together and talk about the things that are really important in our space right now. And today, that is artificial intelligence, right? Persevere is a nonprofit that focuses on building reentry for justice impacted individuals through technology education. And then, of course, Banyan Labs is that software development enterprise where a lot of our graduates can go for internship, real world experience. Matthew came on board about a year ago, shifted that focus, and now we have these products that we have put out into the space, all of them amazing, some of them extremely complex, and making a difference in the world. So, guys, I just want to have a conversation today about AI. Stacy, I think you had shared with me in a LinkedIn post a question that was posed to you when you were at a conference in San Diego last week. And the question was, who is AI going to negatively impact more? Is it going to be employers or employees? And I love that. And I just want us to have the talk today. So, Stacy, you posted that question. Walk us through what made that question worth asking in the first place.
Yeah, I think, the summit that I was at was focused on AI in education, whether it was K through 12, post-secondary, or in the workplace. And so I was speaking to some ladies with the University of Phoenix, and one of them posed that question to me, and I thought, wow, it's kind of a tough question, but it's also kind of an easy question because at the end of the day, it's going to impact both the employer and the employee in a negative way if that thought process doesn't really change. And so when we were talking about it, for me, it is as an organization and ensuring that we're utilizing the tech tools that we're given puts us a step ahead, right? And ensures that as a technology nonprofit that we're also doing what we say should be happening. But also I look at our staff, and I know for me, like, I maximize my AI tools. As a nonprofit, I don't have the funding to have an executive assistant. I don't have the luxury of having somebody write my proposals for me. And so being able to utilize AI to its maximum, knowing that there's still a human in the mix, but I think even for our staff, you're not going to be able to meet the deadlines that we have to meet, and to provide the resources that we need to provide if we're not maximizing. So I take what we're doing in the nonprofit sector and I think about what organizations in the for-profit sector, like your competition they're ahead of you if you're not embracing the current technology.
Yeah, for sure. Matthew, you're the technical brain in the room. What's your gut reaction about this?
Yeah, I think it's similar to Stacy, but I did do a little bit of research before this talk because I've been thinking about it quite a lot. Because negativity around technology is always it's always clickbait. So we hear more about the negatives than we do the positives. But what I think we should all be aware, and there is statistical information that can back this up. But the statement that I would like to make is individuals from a technology perspective adapt faster than organizations do. It's always been the case. I've been in enough leadership roles on the technology side. It's the business always thinks that if they implement the next best thing, that they're going to be able to replace staff or make staff more efficient, those types of things. It's the people that always adapt faster than the organization. So you need to continually invest in your people and look for folks who are willing to learn and leverage the latest technology, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be AI. And I've got examples that we can talk about as well. But that's kind of my overarching statement is I've been doing this a long time, and there's always a trend. There's always the next big thing that organizations get scared about, or they think, oh, if we just do this, then we're going to be ahead of the game, or we can trim the fat, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question about that, Matthew, and you and I have kind of talked about this before, but you know, do you think that people are looking at AI as just the next best thing and they're not realizing that it's not going away in the next 3 to 5 months?
I think what you're maybe rephrase the way you're asking that. I want to make sure I answer it.
So it's kind of like I'm going to compare it to COVID, even though there's really no comparison, right?
Sure.
But with COVID, we were all very reactive to the fact that COVID was here. And so I feel like with AI, a lot of people are kind of reactive. It's like, oh, it's the new thing. It's not going to be here very long. We'll ignore the fact that everything's going AI or supposedly going AI. So do you think it's one of those things where people are like, it'll be dead in the next 4 or 5 months and something bigger and better is going to step in?
Yeah, I think the market and organizations are trying to calibrate their expectations right now. I think it's still in that, even though we've had, think about this, we've actually been using ChatGPT for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Like it still feels very new. And then it seems like every day we're seeing a new thing, whether it's Anthropic releasing something or OpenAI or Google or whoever, they're always, oh, look at this. This is going to change the game. This is going to, and it almost, I think we're still in that euphoric state of they are doing these seemingly mind-blowing things. So I don't think the market has had time to, we still have this false sense of reality of where we're going to land. I think most folks who are not at the forefront of technology in general, it still feels very magical and like eventually robots are going to take over our jobs is kind of how it still feels. So I would just encourage us as human beings to realize that we're in control of the opportunities around us, and it's up to us to zoom out a little bit, learn what the new tools are. You're not getting replaced by robots tomorrow. But yeah, just to answer your question, I don't know that, I think everybody still has this fear and uncertainty about AI, or at least for the most part. At the same time, there's this excitement of like, look what I can do now, kind of thing. Yeah.
I have to share one of the most exciting things that I've done with AI is life is so busy for me. And so going to the grocery store is not something that I do very often. And so I love the fact that I can take a picture with chat of what is in my pantry, what's in my refrigerator, and what spices I have, and ask chat to utilize everything that I have and to build a meal for the day. And the cool thing is Panda Express needs to step over to the side because thanks to chat, I can make a killer orange chicken with jasmine rice now. But it was one of those things where I never would have thought to take what I had already on hand and to utilize it to create a meal. And so, when I think about, just not replacing our brain, right, for problem solving or anything like that, but when you live a really busy life and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to go to the grocery store, I don't know what to throw together, and then you pause and you're like, click, 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 and then you have a whole meal preparation prepared right there, right? And so it's just like, embracing it, especially when you need it pretty quickly. I just think it's a cool thing.
For sure. Guys, I've been thinking about this because at Banyan, Matthew, you and I mean, we offer solutions to organizations of all sizes, right? And what I have learned is that those corporate entities, I mean, they're jumping on, I don't want to call it a bandwagon, but they're jumping into this vehicle pretty fast, whereas those smaller mom and pop small businesses are still really hesitant. I hear all the time, just for people in my own sphere, I don't trust AI, right? It makes me say things that I didn't say, right? I was playing around with a new video AI, thinking about some potential applications for work, and I made a video of my Kirsten, and she's saying something. Kirsten has this thing about her: if anything is close to being out of date in our refrigerator, it goes away. Even if it hasn't yet reached it, that's just a thing for her. And so I made a video of her, on this soapbox about it, and she's like, "I didn't say any of that," right? But you hear that hesitation from a lot of small businesses. So for clarity, for people who are just tuning into this, when we talk about AI adoption, what does that actually mean for small businesses and for small nonprofits right now? Are we talking chatbots? Are we talking automation? Is it something bigger? Just have that conversation with me, guys. What does it look like for these small businesses?
Yeah. Well, I think to kind of tag on and segue from what Stacy just said is really to reinforce what she just said is you can not only figure out what to fix for dinner because you take a picture of your pantry. As a quick add-on example to that is a few months ago, I had a mechanic looking at my vehicle. They told me I needed to replace my engine and my transmission. I simply did a lot of research with ChatGPT and a lot of calling around and saved myself $35,000 by, actually figuring out if they were telling me the truth or not. So when it comes to small businesses or technology businesses, even if you're not a technology business, these tools, if you leverage them properly, you can force multiply your business as a business owner, as a manager, as a salesperson. It doesn't matter. Like, there is something that you can learn, from whatever the technology is at the time. Not long ago, we lived in a world where small businesses didn't have a website.
Yeah.
Now it's detrimental to their business if they don't have one. So they had to go learn how to get a website. And then that also created business opportunities for folks like us to build them websites, right? So look at the technology tools and how you can grow your business. And that is one example that I have is e-commerce came on the scene, right? Like, I remember people calling me and asking me if I could put a shopping cart on their website. Like, they didn't know even what to call it, right? So, and it used to be a scary thing to just to take somebody's credit card on your website. I remember businesses saying, can you just call me and give me your credit card over the phone? We don't have a way to do that, right? So AI is no different. Like, look at how you're running your business and learn how you can use it, whether you're using ChatGPT or you need to hire someone like us to further integrate automation or whatever. That's the good thing about what we do as consultants. We're not trying to replace your business. We're trying to use technology to make your business better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
is the bottom line.
Stacy, I want to spend some time thinking about what we're doing at Persevere, because this is a big deal, right? We are in facilities. We're also in communities teaching these tech skills to people who have either been justice impacted or justice involved. So for the Persevere curriculum, what are we doing to make sure that our graduates aren't just job ready today, but that they're competitive in 2 or 3 years when this has been around and changed the landscape?
It's so funny you mentioned that. When I was in San Diego, I was having a conversation with a gentleman with Google Education. And we were talking about how difficult it is to stay ahead with the changes in technology. And so, we've always tried to be 6 months to a year ahead, right? Because as our students graduate the program in 6 months, they need to be ready for the jobs in 6 months, not the job today. And I think that the only way that we can keep up with the changes is to really fully understand AI the best that we can, and to work with our employer partners to really understand the shifts within their organizations and how technology is going to impact them, right? We still have some employers who just they're not bought into AI, and that's fine. But then we have some employers who say, I would rather have somebody that has the soft skills, an introduction to AI, and have the bare minimum understanding of coding because we can teach everything else, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that for us to be able to stay ahead of the game is really working as closely as we do with Banyan. And because Banyan is seeing really what are the customer's needs, how is there that shift in technology. And I was joking with Matthew the other day because I was in school because my whole goal was to get a law degree, and I was like, you know what, I can't lead a technology nonprofit if I'm not embracing or digging into AI myself. And so Matthew and I were joking this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm now a prompt engineer because I was able last night in 3.5 hours to create a prototype. And so anyway, we were joking about how I was like, oh my gosh, how many CEOs of a nonprofit know how to do those things. But I can't have a conversation with a DOC if I'm not comfortable and in the work that we're doing, or even down to the AI tutor that our team has built, right? So I feel like I have to better understand, and if I understand, then that gives the support to our team that are building the curriculum and working with the employers. And I also think it puts Matthew and I at a different level when it comes to conversations because I better understand what his needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, so from a tech perspective, right, there's a fear narrative around AI and jobs right now, and it's just a reality. People are seeing all of these posts about the layoffs in corporate tech, right? So let's just address the elephant in the room, right? What are the roles or tasks that are genuinely at risk of being replaced?
Yeah. So a couple of numbers that I've been thinking about. So the Boston Consultant Group, I'm kind of reading some notes so I get this right, and people can feel free to search this on their own. They did a study in April, they put it out this year, 10 to 15% of US jobs could be eliminated by AI in the next 5 years. 50 to 55% will be reshaped, not eliminated. And then now they have a dog in the hunt, but I do think that, obviously they're doing some research that helps people understand how they can leverage these tools, is the way I look at it. But Anthropic put out in March, no systematic increase in unemployment for workers in highly AI exposed roles since ChatGPT launched in November of 2022. The measurable effect is slower entry level hiring. So what that says to me in plain English is the entry level jobs are not going away. If you learn how to use some of these tools, then you're more likely to be hired at an entry level because you can be more effective for the company more quickly. They're having to spend less time training you how to do the job that they need you to do. They're also these tools are helping you be more effective as an employee. So from a Banyan perspective and a Persevere Programs perspective, that's why it's critical that we train folks how to use these tools. So graduates and interns that work for me are going to be ready for an entry level position. Those, based on that other study, entry level is just being reshaped. It's not going away. So I think the fear is you hear like jobs are going to go away. It's like, no, they're being reshaped right now. We have many, many, many years ahead of us of jobs being reshaped. But quite frankly, that's been done over the human lifespan of existence. I'll give one quick study to kind of cap off or not study, but some historical reference for everybody that's listening. And again, I want to get this right. So one thing that we all use day to day or quite often is we take pictures all the time, right? I remember when we used to have to go buy film, right? So I'm getting to that point in my age where I'm like, well, I remember when we didn't have digital, blah, 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 whatever. So think about this. Kodak in 1975 had a gentleman at Kodak invented the first digital camera. They told that guy to take a hike. They did not implement the digital camera. They thought it would take away from their business. But guess what? Kodak doesn't even exist anymore because they didn't leverage technology at the time that they had invented. Basically, they had an employee invent those things. So, and then, nobody thinks twice about it now. There's entire businesses built around the fact that we take pictures with our phone now.
Yeah.
We just don't go buy film anymore, or very rarely do we go buy film anymore. So, we just need to continue to train people in the technology at the time. Right now it's AI. That's the bottom line.
You know what else?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say what else is interesting is if we look at data, you've got your baby boomers, right, that are moving out of the job market. And as I'm going to say human species. I know that's not really the right term I was looking for, but we are not populating like we did. And so they have said for a couple of years now that there is going to be a shortage of humans to actually take the jobs that are going to be available. And there's always going to have to be that human aspect, right? Whether that person is coding the robot or creating, or designing, whatever it is. And so I think we also have to look at where is the shift in humanity and the lack of humans to actually take on the jobs versus having some type of robot. And while Matthew was thinking about that, I was like, oh my gosh, when did robotic arms or things like that come into manufacturing, and I had to look it up. It was like in the 50s and 60s.
Wow.
And then I was looking the other day, and Matthew, you probably know this, but it was like in the late 50s when the first chat box was written or built. So it's like it's been around. It's just not been around for those of us that were not in that industry to really see it.
We rarely called it AI. It was just called something else. You know, that's all it is. And you know, to kind of further just add to this, I don't want to add to the fear that's out there, but the jobs that we should take a look at that will be reshaped, that specifically in the technology and software development space, I think the roles that are going to get hit the hardest are task-based roles, like where the job is the task, right? Designers, like if you're in charge of, you know, building out what a UI needs to look like, it's not that your job is going away. That task is going to go away, like, but the knowledge that it takes to design a good user experience and the influence that you need to have on the tools that are being used to generate that design, for instance, that's not going away. We need a human element to everything that we build. But I would just have a look at, if your job is task-based, then you should be learning how to use these tools, because the person that doesn't is going to find themselves struggling to find something to do for an organization. You know, based on, you know, Stacy's example, like she built out a prototype of something, like, you know, I would say 3 years ago that would have taken somebody a month to do by themselves, and there would be a lot of back and forth to try to get what Stacy was looking for correct. You know, the iterative process of building out that prototype is gotten much faster, and whatever's in her head, she can get it into something tangible very quickly. Like, that role is gonna go away. Right? Right. We don't need somebody to do the legwork sometimes anymore, because we can do it ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. I want to shift gears. We've been talking about employees, and now I want to talk about employers, because I think that there are two sides to this coin that are just as important. So, Matthew, we work directly with organizations who are trying to adopt AI tools, right? We spend a lot of our time with potential clients who are interested in implementing AI services to maybe some data ingestion that they have or something like that. What's the most common mistake that you see employers make when they approach this AI adoption?
I think it's a common, I think the commonality is, again, trying to just zoom out and realize that AI is the thing, but it's not always the thing.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake that I see employers make is thinking that implementing a technology or a piece of software is going to be the solution. It's part of the solution. I've helped replace software at companies, you know, whether it's a project management tool, or for all of you out there who got hooked into implementing Salesforce, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why you have to spend 3 times as much as what they told you when they sold it to you. Like, Salesforce is a good example of many companies I've seen think that it's going to solve all their problems, and they were sold something that looked good on paper. It's the implementation of those things and the training that you give your employees, and providing a consistent train of thought of, does this solve our problem if we continue to be consistent and implement that solution you still have the human element, right? I could tell you and Stacy, Jake, that I'm going to go run a marathon, and I can go to the sports store, and I can buy brand new running shoes, and I can, buy all the gear and all the things. But if I don't put the time and effort in to staying consistent with training
Mhm.
and, you know, building my endurance, I'm not going to be able to run that marathon just because I bought new clothes. Right.
Right.
So, and technology implementation for employers is very similar. Like, you can implement that stuff all day long. If you don't understand it and you don't know how to train your people to use it, AI is not going to solve all of your problems just because you bought a subscription to ChatGPT, or
Yeah.
or you implemented it into your software and this, that, and the other. It can make it the people that work for you. It can give them seemingly superpowers to get stuff done if you train them correctly to use it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that goes back to no matter what software you're using, you still have to have an employee that has problem solving skills,
Mm-hmm.
critical thinking, and even soft skills, right? Because a lot of times when you enter something in to a chat GPT or a Claude, like you have to kind of figure out the biases that are there and kind of work to eliminate or massage it, right? Because it only knows what you're inputting. And so I'm like Matthew, no matter what you purchase, it doesn't always solve the problem. That's where the human aspect really has to come.
Yeah, for sure. Stacy, Persevere works with employers across all different industries and different states, right? Are you seeing a gap between what employers say they want and what they're actually doing once they have these AI tools?
Yes, the biggest, I mean, yes, and I think it's because they don't know really what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, honestly, we didn't either. I probably, out of all of our staff outside of instructors, probably embraced AI and really just maximized it. Um, but I think that depending on the employer, if they're a tech company, it's a little bit different, right? Because they're kind
Yeah.
of like Matthew. They've got the background, they've got the understanding,
Mhm.
they know what they want. But I think with a lot of other employers, this is just still really new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if we do have some people that are listening who are maybe they work for a nonprofit or they own a nonprofit or they own a small business and they're thinking, we know we should be doing something with AI, but we don't know where to start, what would you guys suggest for them as their first move?
Give us a call.
Yeah. Call Banyan Labs and we'll
Yeah.
talk to you. We don't want to sell anybody anything. We want to help you. We truly want to help you solve these problems.
Yeah.
There are questions that I know businesses are asking themselves and they don't know the answers to them. Um, you know, like, what about there is a reality check that we all need to have. Like, people are scared.
Yeah.
People are worried that they're not going to be valuable to their company anymore. Employers are worried that they're going to get left behind because they don't implement these tools. Maybe they don't understand how it benefits their business. Like, even if you're Joe's Lawn Service and like, there is a solution for you, even if Banyan Labs has nothing to do with your business, call us. We'll talk to you about it. Like, we want to help people understand the most important thing that I want anybody to hear, whether you're an employer or someone who's looking for employment in this world. All of these technologies give you opportunity. It's not something to be scared about. It gives you another way to look at the question you should be asking yourself as an employer or a employee is, what problem am I uniquely positioned to solve in this AI world? You know,
Yeah.
what kind of product or service do you offer, and how can you uniquely position that? Because you do have expertise as a business owner or an employee. So how can you leverage that tool instead of, oh my gosh, I'm going to be replaced? Like,
Yeah.
try to look at it through a different lens, and call us if you want to talk through that.
And, you know, if you're looking to upskill your current staff, Persevere and Banyan would love to be part of that. Even if it comes down to apprenticeships, right? Persevere is in a position to where we can work with the employer. We can create an apprenticeship program where we work with them directly. So there's so many different ways to support employers and the employees. I mean, we've got a partnership with Google. I'm working on a partnership with IBM. You know, we've got employer partners. There's so many different opportunities for both Persevere and Banyan to come together and help however we can.
I want to follow up on that, Stacy, because I'm hoping that some of the people listening, because it's Fair Chance Month, are, you know, employers who are considering partnering with Persevere. So if there is an organization out there who is interested in that partnership, what should they understand about the talent that they'd be getting access to?
Oh my gosh, I think the best person to explain the talent is Matthew. He's seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that any employer can expect, because I'm technically an employer of our folks, after they've gone through the Persevere program, they come and work for me for a minimum of 3 months usually. And then I've even retained some of that staff full time. These are the most engaged and hardworking folks I've ever gotten the pleasure to mentor and work with. I would say, you know, we're all human, and you should consider folks who are looking for a second opportunity, because they'll surprise you. You know, you without even asking, you'll notice a big difference in hiring our folks. And just give us a try. Like, we've even as an organization created ways to make this a very low risk opportunity for employers to try out. And again, like, I'll take the time to come in to your organization and help you understand that better. And so will Stacy. And I would even offer from an AI perspective too. Like, I'm willing to come and spend a half a day with a potential employer partner who's interested. We just want to help businesses and employers and our folks navigate the AI world as it is right now, and whatever the next, you know, we got quantum computing coming, so like, stay tuned. You know, like, we'll be having a conversation about that in 5 years, I'm sure. So it's always
I
gonna be
already have an executive summary written for the curriculum for quantum computing, so I'm a little bit ahead of you there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to close up by asking 2 questions, maybe 3, but definitely these last 2. You both have said it in our time together this morning that the divide won't be humans versus AI. It'll be adapters versus non-adapters. So my question is, what does it actually look like to be someone who adapts? Is this a skill set? Is it a mindset? Or is it something totally different entirely?
I'm going to say a mindset, only because, and maybe it's just me and how my brain thinks, but I was determined last night. Like, I was determined that I was going to maximize Claude. And honestly, I kind of shocked myself a little bit. I had no idea that it was going to go as smooth as it went. It literally took me 3.5 hours. So I was able to watch a documentary on Netflix and run my prompts on my computer, right? All at the same time. And then I think at the end of the day, I was telling Matthew this morning, like, I surprised myself, right? Because I think I had the ability to do it and I was determined to do it. But for me, it was a mindset, right? Of proving to myself, hey, I can do this. And it kind of gives, I think for me, it gives encouragement to our staff. It gives encouragement to our students that even if Stacy can do this with no true technical training. So for me, it's a mindset.
Yeah. Matthew?
Yeah. Going back to my example of what Kodak did in the 1975 era, they didn't implement something because out of fear, right? So don't listen to the FUD quite as much. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction to what's going on around you, whether it's AI or some other tool. There are businesses right now who are creating their Kodak moment where they're reacting to the market, they're reacting to the fear, and they're in 5 years they're going to realize they shouldn't have reacted so quickly. They should zoom out, take a breath. Like, nothing's changing overnight, even though it feels like it is. Like, it's important for us to not have that emotional reaction to what's going on. It's, let's look at what the truth of the matter is as much as possible, and then if you need to have an emotional reaction, then that's fine. But like, let's do a little more due diligence here and realize that the world's not ending tomorrow, and your business is fine, and just continue to look at it that way from a business perspective. Business owners, you didn't get this far because you reacted irrationally. You work hard, you continue to learn and grow your business and adapt to the market. This is no different.
Yeah. I love that you just took the idiom Kodak moment and
Yeah.
totally changed its meaning.
Yeah, you don't want to end up bankrupt and out of business like Kodak. It's basically what I'm saying. No bashing Kodak, but like, hey, sometimes you just make a wrong decision because you're out of fear. That's all
Yeah.
I'm really saying is let's just not make irrational, quick decision, knee-jerk reactions out of fear.
Sure.
You may need to make that decision, right? But like, don't do it just because you see that Amazon cut 16,000 jobs.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they're actually regretting that. They're hiring back some of those folks. So
Yeah.
so let's be clear that like everybody thought AI was going to like, optimize their workforce, and they're finding that, oh, we actually need the subject matter experts driving this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't, right, I always want to try to be balanced because there are multiple perspectives to this conversation. So just last question, guys, is there a version of this convo that we've had this morning that might be too optimistic? Are there real costs or risks we should be honest about, even in a room of people like us who believe in this work, right, and believe in AI adoption? When we're visiting with potential partners or potential clients, is there a part of the conversation where we need to talk to them about costs and risks?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Sure. I think we need to, on the other side of that coin of the fear and all of that I was talking about, we also need to be real, right? There are, like, as I mentioned earlier, there's a shift in redefining some of these roles. So let's definitely be real about that. The difference that we have with AI in any other technology that's come out is this time it is different. AI can replace cognitive workflow. Like these large language models seem to have reasoning. They're not human reasoning, but they've been trained in a way to where they can actually mimic human reasoning. They're just a computer, by the way, guys. So they don't have consciousness. So I think that's where the fear. So we need to just be realistic that there are things that large language models can do that are going to redefine. So let's not ignore that. Like
Yeah.
there is still physical work that
Mhm.
AI cannot do until the robots are,
Sentient.
something that we can purchase and, put in a cubicle or whatever. But I think that's the realistic way to look at it. Is it's okay to be realistic and understand what the technology is. All I'm suggesting is don't look at it from the perspective of it's going to take my job away. It's redefining what your job is, if you learn how to leverage the tool and be realistic about what that tool is. And part of that is these large language models can do a lot of thinking a lot quicker than we can as human beings, no matter how smart you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just one of the examples that I was thinking was, Matthew's career is that of a solutions engineer, right? And so, or solutions architect. So Matthew is always thinking of a solution to someone's problem. And I think, the great thing, like I love to just throw things off of him because sometimes it does land technical where it's like, oh, we can do this to solve the problem. And then sometimes it's just talking through it with another human, right, to try to solve the problem. And so I think when it comes to organizations that are really struggling in some areas, that between Persevere and Banyan and, Matthew's career and kind of how he has solved problems for organizations, there is a way for him to kind of come in and help consult and figure out the best way. The other thing is I don't want nonprofits to say, oh my gosh, well, I just have a transition home. There's nothing AI can do for me. And as someone who has transition homes, that is far from the truth. And, there are solutions that have been developed even in Banyan for us to be able to manage and ensure that we are providing the right resources, the right documentation, things of that nature. And so, I don't want anybody to ever feel like I just have this and that there's nothing AI or anything can do for me, because that's far from the truth.
Yeah.
I love that.
One thing I want to leave with on this note, to think about is fear is a tool. Like you can leverage it to your advantage. So, for all those who are fearful of the future or fearful that your job's going to be replaced, fear is a rational thing to feel, but it's not a strategy. The antidote to being fearful is agency. It's like figuring out what's coming, how do I need to be prepared for it, those types of things. So if you're fearful, just simply learning and information might be enough, right? Think about that. It's okay to feel that fear, because you can leverage that to your advantage as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I think just one more thing to add on, if you are thinking about utilizing AI tools, I think between all of us in both organizations, we have utilized the free tools and we've utilized the tools with the cost behind it, right? And depending on what it is that you're needing for your organization or you in your growth, I think that there's definitely some conversations that can happen around, can I gain the same knowledge base with a free version, or is it something that I'm going to need a paid version?
Yeah.
And speaking of paid versions, we are building a platform at Banyan Labs, then we can integrate that into your business if you are a large organization and you need agentic services. So
there you go.
Definitely.
we are leveraging the market to offer products. So
more to come about Armada Core, for sure.
More to come about Armada Core.
Gotta plug that in, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you've made it this far in the video, then hey, call us.
Guys, thank you so, so much for being here. I think you both know that I have the utmost respect for both of you, and I'm excited about what we're doing at Persevere and at Banyan. We're changing the space not only for justice impacted individuals, of which I'm a part of the population, but we're changing the tech space. And so we're really excited about that work, excited for you guys to share your thoughts to our audiences. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You bet.
Tracy.